and welcome to For the Lads. And we're here with my good friend George Ross. We've probably been good friends for, I don't know, like 15 years now, right, George?
Probably more.
Probably
Probably
more.
more.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Um, I'm in Australia. He's all the way out in California. But yeah, we're going to get into some personal ghost stories from George, and I've got a couple myself as well that we'll touch on. Actually, I might actually go first if you don't mind. I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'll tell
Yeah,
you a
that
couple of
sounds good
mine.
enough.
So I've got a few. Probably the most vivid one I had. Right, I was living with my dad's friend. So I lived there. I don't know, about 12 years ago, something like that, and I lived there for like 12 months. But I had a couple of experiences there. One particular one, I was like in bed, right? And it was pitch black. Like you wouldn't be able to see your own hand in front of your face. Like you wouldn't be able to see anything. Um, and I roll over and I look up and I see two eyes perfectly, like you would see in the middle of the day. Even though it's pitch black, you shouldn't be able to see anything, right? And I can see a silhouette of a figure, and it's sitting on the edge of the bed and like leaning over at me like this. And I could see the eyes, and I could see it blinking. And like I said, I could see the full silhouette outline of the body with it turned, leaning down to me. And it was there for probably about, I would say about 20 seconds before it just sort of dissipated. And before that one, I had a few other little experiences there as well, but I didn't really. I kind of brushed it aside because even though I believe in this stuff, I like you always try to it's probably just in my imagination but like that one being so vivid, I started thinking back at about some of the other ones. Like another one in particular, I was going to leave for work and I've reached the front door, and as I've looked across, I could see a silhouette of a robust woman. Um,
Woo!
yeah, but
That's the haunting I don't mind.
well, so
I'll
I was
sit back and
living,
watch.
but
But yeah, go
like I said, man, like it's pitch black in there. You can't see anything. It's dead early in the morning, 5:30 in the morning or whatever it is. And yeah, I look across, so I'm facing the door here, right? And
yeah.
it's to my right. And as I look over, yeah, as I look over, I see that silhouette of a robust woman. So the person I was living with, he had his daughter there. She's only like 14 though. So I know it's not her because she's still like a kid, right? And this is obviously a woman. Um, and
Was it like in a dress?
his partner had passed away a few years ago, and she was a robust woman. And I'm not saying it was her, and I'm not, hey, at the end of the day, I don't know what it is, but I just thought I would add that. But I ended up
Yeah.
looking, and I thought about walking over and then just going like, you know what I mean? But I was just like,
I'll be like, hey,
fuck
what's
this.
up?
It's yeah. I was just like, well, just to see if something is there, you know. But
Yeah.
I was just like, it's too early for this shit, and I just left. And I had a couple other small things, but the eyes one, like, I remember after I was just thinking, nah, I definitely saw something because, I was thinking, did I just imagine that? And then someone else was saying about sleep paralysis, and I'm like, well, I definitely didn't have sleep paralysis because I rolled over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't frozen there or anything like that. And
That's something similar happened.
yeah,
Well, the
well,
one I'm gonna tell you.
yeah, it,
And was the thing, was it like hunchback? Kind of.
no, it just looked like a normal body silhouette, but the eyes were like perfectly, like you would see just in the middle of the day in daylight. Like you could see the eyes perfectly. I could see the eyelids, and I could see it
Yeah.
blinking, and like it wasn't there and gone. Like it was there for about 20 seconds before it dissipated,
You
and
didn't get
then
scared?
no. I was just really, really surprised.
Yeah,
Like,
man, I would have been like, what?
yeah, like I just was just like, whoa. And just it just took me off guard, man. Like it's not like
Yeah,
I'm not saying,
some
oh,
people.
I'm so brave, you know.
Yeah,
Like I'm not. It's not even like that. I was just, it just really surprised me. And then later I was thinking, fucking like, does this happen oftenly? Does this thing come and visit me when I sleep regularly? Is it watching me when I'm in the
yep.
shower? Is it watching me right now? You know what I mean?
Hey,
So
dude, that
I slept with the TV on for a couple of weeks after that,
that
um,
is scary, man.
but yeah,
But I wouldn't.
we'll
I
jump in with some of yours, brother.
okay. So, well, one thing I was gonna say is you said one thing that I can relate to. You said you leave the TV on. Okay, the thing that happened to me happened after the thing that the events that caused me to also. There was a time when I lived at my last place where I did not turn the lights off, or I had to have the TV or the computer on sound. I couldn't fall asleep without some sort of sound or light or like a fan. I had to have sound. So, but that's something else. I'll talk. The first thing I'm going to tell you is the one. Okay, I lived in. Well, I lived in San Diego, closer to the border than where I am now. At the time, I had a girlfriend. She lived in TJ, Tijuana. Uh, she was born here, but she lived over there, because she was alone, so she lived cheaper rent. So anyway, that you know how the houses over there, they're kind of poorer, and you know they're not they're like makeshift houses. This one, it was just a studio.
Yep.
There was nothing. It wasn't like broken down or anything, but it was a studio that obviously used to be used for. I think it was something industrial related with mixing ingredients or something like food, like farmyard type stuff. So there was this. Okay, there's like a square. Uh, her studio was a square, pretty decently sized, just one room. And then within the square, there was another square, and along the lining of the inner square, there was a like railing. Railing. That's the closest. I'm not good at explaining this.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the
No,
most
you do it.
articulate. And then there's like a staircase leading down. She had her bed at the bottom, you know. And I met, that night we had some fun, but besides that, after that, it was hours later when me and her knocked out. We're asleep. I'm laying on my back. She's laying to my side. Uh, so okay, this is a creepy thing. I'm laying down on my back. No, we there was a thing we would do. We would make out with each other. We French kiss. So I felt when my eyes are closed like that, I can't see nothing. I'm knocked out. I'm feeling tongue. I feel a tongue, and it goes down, and then it gets to the point where I know it sounds weird. It like I'm gagging. This happened. So when it gets to that point where I'm like, what the fuck is this? I start gagging, and the thing that is a little confusing here, I can't remember if I looked to the right first or stared up. So I'm gonna go first. I'll explain what I looked to the right. I looked to the right. My girlfriend, I was checking to see if she was the one making out with me. I checked her right, and she's right there knocked out, asleep like that. I looked back, and right there in front of me, where that thing was, where I felt like I was getting choked, like something gagging me, there was a face, like like you said, but I didn't see no eyes. It was just like black, darker than dark. Her studio was pitch black, but this thing was blacker than that,
Mm.
and it looked like it wasn't like smoke, but it was like vaporish, vapor.
Okay.
And I got like right now I get chills. Okay, that feeling that I got was like I like I was saying. Okay, when you watch a movie and you're watching Freddy Krueger, it's just a movie. It's not real. Like even if it's scary, like that it's
It
it's
can't
all
happen.
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
yeah, you know that they're actors portraying that, even though it's scary. Yeah, it's creepy, but there's no sense of real true evil. However, one second, let me see if I could turn the light on here because it is getting a
No,
little
you're
dark.
right. Leave it dark,
I'm gonna
brother.
leave it like that. That looks better.
All right.
You can see my face.
Yeah.
That looks cool. So yeah. Anyway, there was a feeling I got that it was actually pure fear. It wasn't no, oh, I'm scared of a movie. Like the closest I could say, okay, I know it's a video game, but I like Silent Hill.
Mm.
You know, when you play the old Silent Hill games, you think, oh, you feel like there's a dark presence watching you when you
Mm.
play the game. But this was actual, real dark presence that you know is evil. It wasn't like the movie. So I jumped up and I even woke her up and I told her, and she was not practice. She was knocked out, so she didn't think nothing of it. In the morning, we talked about it, and she didn't know what to say. She didn't have anything to say, but uh, I will say this though, that girl, she was kind of a mess
Mm.
in the head.
Yeah.
Uh, she even said, "Oh, well, you're probably bringing bad, evil spirits from your house." I was like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, although that's possible too,
So she
because at the
has
house
bad
I was,
energy. Also that that's that sounds like a
and
succubus. That sounds like a
yeah, yeah,
succubus.
that's what I thought. And also too, okay, when I started dating this girl, we went her first date was at a park, uh, down here in San Diego, Balboa Park. And it was odd when I was walking to her car, she wanted to go and sit, like this was weird. She wanted to sit in my car. At the time I had a different car than I have now. She wanted to sit in it to see what how like she just I don't even know why. That makes no sense. She wanted to sit in the driver's seat to just see how my car is, I guess. I opened the door, let her sit in, and then I walked around and I sat in the passenger side. And then after we said our goodbyes after she left, she got in her car and left, and then I left in my car. Okay, I have a habit. I keep toothpicks, in the cup holders. That's
Mm.
my habit. I just because sometimes if I go eat, I want to have toothpicks. I can't stand if I'm going. Let's say I'm in a rush to work. I buy some food or I take. I like to eat a lot of chicken, so I'll take chicken, and if I have to tooth pick my teeth with toothpicks instead of going all day at work with that
Mm.
filling. So anyway, this one I had a few toothpicks there, uh, and one of them had long hair twirled around it. And
Okay.
at the time I thought, oh, it was her that did it. I'm like, why would she do that? Like,
Mm.
but at the same time, I thought, it's whatever. Maybe I joked around. I said, maybe she's cast a spell on me. She wants me so bad. And eventually I did talk to some other person that told me that was some weird, like, I guess a magic spell or something. So she was involved in some dark stuff,
Some
you
voodoo
know?
stuff, or she's putting a hex on you
Yeah.
or something, brother.
Yeah, maybe she was related to something about that presence. Uh, yeah, that was one incident. Okay, and then I had another. I'll give you another incident. This one happened at my house.
Mm.
Uh, at the time, this was a while ago. I can't remember, like 15, almost 15 to 20 years ago, like maybe 16. Uh, at the time, I was living with my brother, my mother, and my sister, and I I had this. My room was at the far end of the house, and their rooms were closer to the entrance. So I'm laying down. I'm asleep in my bed. I'm laying on my side. I know it sounds like sometimes people will say, "Oh, what if you were dreaming?" Well, the thing is, I was half awake, half asleep when I'm laying on my side, and I'm dreaming. I can't remember the dream, but then I remember opening my eyes a little, and then I seen on the side of my bed. At the time, I didn't have the frame of the bed. I don't like the frames because I tend to hit my foot a lot. So I
Mm.
just keep the box spring. I like it flat. I like being flat on the ground. And I seen on the side of my bed like a gray hunchback creature. It's dark in my room, but I could still make out. And in my head, I'm thinking, I was super tired, so I didn't even think to wake up. I was thinking maybe I'm dreaming, you know. But the reason I know that I wasn't dreaming is because while I'm laying on my side, I seen that it scurried across the floor. Not that tall. It was kind of
So
short.
like it ran across the floor like this,
Yeah, I
and
just seen the back. It had like hairless. It was hairless, no skin, no hair. It was just skin, gray looking skin
okay, so
kind
it
of.
wasn't a silhouette or anything. You could see
No.
skin.
Yup.
Zzz.
And so what happened is, and then I lay on I was laying on my side when I seen it. And then I don't know how it went, but I went on my back, like the way the last story. I'm laying on my back, and my room got so quiet. I'm talking about completely, like you could hear a pin drop. And that's why I'm a little scared of sleeping in complete silence. Because
Mm.
so I'm laying down and I feel like, okay, on my pillow, the side of my pillow caves in a little, caves in slightly on one side, like
Mm.
someone sat down next to me. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing static, like like white noise, like like a radio,
Yeah.
like that. And it's getting real loud. And then I can't breathe. I feel like something's on my chest, like smushing me like a 200-pound man on my chest. And then I open my eyes and I just see white noise static in my eyes too. But then I finally, and at the same time, I'm feeling like I can't breathe. Like I can't breathe. Like I'm gasping for air, but I can't even make a sound. And I look, or I open my eyes, and the static's there, but it fades away. The static, and finally I can make out what I'm seeing, and I'm hearing growling and white noise, and I'm talking about demonic growling. And on top of me, I can't explain what shape this was, but it was obviously a head, but I can't make the shape now.
Mm.
This was years ago, and it looked like, you know, the Predator 2 movie, the way that cloaking device is. You know Predator
Yeah,
2,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Cloaking device. It had that that effect around it,
Where
and it was growling
it's
at me and choking.
like a um like a silhouette, and you can
Hmm.
see like the lines like coming through like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I seen that, and I jumped up, and I have an injured knee from years ago, skateboarding accident. Uh, I had a table in the middle of my room, a wooden table. I jumped up and I smashed my knee. Like, not that, yeah, it hurt. It wasn't like a bad, I just hit it. I hit it real hard.
Mm.
I was full of adrenaline. I didn't even feel that. I ran straight to all my, like my mother, my brother, and my sister.
Mm.
And I told them they were asleep though. And I woke my mother up. I went to her and my brother,
Mm.
and I told them. My brother was like, "What the fuck? Like, if you like keep the light on and stuff."
Mm.
I ain't gonna lie, I went straight. I laid on the floor of my mother's room, and I couldn't go back to my room. I was so freaked out, and it felt like ever. Oh yeah, this is the crazy thing. About 7, 8 in the morning, I woke back up and I went to my room and said, "You know what? Fuck this. I'll be okay. It's daytime. I'm gonna go sleep in my room."
Mm.
And I go back and lay on my bed, and and this is the exact morning afterwards. I open my eyes, cracked open, and I see. I'm not making this up. I see like another vaporous figure, and I swear it looked. The closest thing I could think of is the Grim Reaper on the left side of my peripheral vision. And in a second, I seen it. I looked at it, and it vanished before I could like hone in on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then ever since then, I could not sleep without a light or TV or computer on.
Yeah.
That's another one. I got more.
Yeah,
You wanna
man.
jump in and
Yeah.
tell me
No.
one of yours?
Well, I mean, the other ones I've got are just they're more
If you want me
minor,
to, I
but
could
I
go on.
no no. Well, I'll add one.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine passed away recently, but he shared to me an experience that he had. So he was working on like a fishing trawler, if I remember correctly. It doesn't matter the specifics about the boat, but he had to swim down, and because the anchor was snagged, he had to swim down and like release it. Anyway, so he was down there and then gymming and that, and then as he was doing it, and mind you, he's underwater. He's quite deep. I don't remember specifics, but he heard Kevin, like someone yell in the side of his ear, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And then above him, you could, soon as he sort of moved away, you could feel like something mashing its teeth, and like a shark just missed him.
What the hell?
Yeah, man. I was just like, when he told me that, I was just like, bruh, you definitely
Yeah,
had someone looking out for you then,
was
like, but yeah,
he was
he
shark food.
yeah, well, exactly, because yeah, he just heard Kevin, and he just sort of like moved his head, and then it's come over the top of
Jaws.
him, like, but
That's some Jaws stuff right there.
he passed away. I don't know, it'd be about 6 weeks ago, but yeah, he
That
was,
sucks.
yeah, man, and like I only keep a small circle as well, and he meant a lot to me, so rest in peace, Kevin. But yeah,
Rest in
I
peace.
I thought I would bring that story up because yeah, it was a wild one, and I thought I would share that one.
We got
But yeah, I mean,
that sounds more like almost like an animal attack type.
well, yeah, it is. But I mean,
I got a few.
I mean, a
Uh,
voice, deep down
oh,
underwater, yelling in your ear your name, like
what
that
the?
seems something supernatural to me. It definitely was no animal, and the shark didn't call out his
So he
name.
actually heard. Did he hear the voice?
He
So it
heard
was
the
like a
voice.
warning to him.
Yeah.
So it was like a warning to him.
Exactly. That's
Oh
exactly
no,
what it
that's
was.
freaky, man.
Something
Hey,
warned
well,
him
you
to
know what? That
move out of the way. And as he's like going,
dude,
oh shit.
that sounds exactly how.
Do you have any more light? You could turn your light up there a little bit because it's hard. I
Let me
can't
see.
quite see you.
Better, huh? Better.
Better.
Like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
good.
sounds like something my brother had an incident in the ocean too,
Yeah.
where he said he felt like he died when he was
Yeah.
drowning, and he seen that his soul was rising up out of his body and
Shit.
going up, and then it shot back into his body, and then he woke up and he was swimming in the ocean again.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Sure.
uh, so you want to hear more? Want to
Yeah,
hear
man.
more? I got some
Bring
more.
'em on. Yeah.
Okay, this one ain't very scary, but it is weird. I'll say this one before I get back into the horror ones.
Yeah.
Okay, this one was where I was. Okay, I was a kid. I was like maybe like 7 or 8, maybe 9. I can't exactly remember. But I was with my mother and she was visiting her friend Pam,
Mm.
back in the day, 1990. It was I think 94, 95, something like that. And we went to their apartment and they had a pool, and the pool that had a lot of kids. It was like a summer day. Everyone was out there. It was packed full of people. And my mother's friends, she had 2 daughters, and I would go play with them and stuff, you know, little kids. So I play with them, and we were in the ocean, and I was swimming. Well, not ocean, pool,
Mm.
and I went into the water, and no lie, I know it sounds crazy, but I felt like I could breathe underwater.
Yeah.
I felt like I could breathe underwater, and I was under there. I even got out and I went and told my mom. She probably didn't believe me at the time. She was like, "Cool, cool," and then back. So I
She's
was,
just like,
I
oh, that's
literally,
great, George. You go away now.
yeah. I don't even know how the hell that, like, that's weird,
Mm.
man. That is odd.
So how
Hey,
old were you then?
yeah, I was about 8 or 9.
Mm.
I was gonna say, because you could edit, right? You could edit stuff.
I mean, And we're back. So, yeah, if you're ready for another spooky story, George, you're up, brother.
Yup. Okay. This one involves me going to work. Uh, okay. One of these job sites I never had worked at. I was what you call a rover at the time at this one company I worked for. I was a armed security guard. However, this site, it was an unarmed site, which yeah, I don't know. Some of those unarmed sites are actually more dangerous than the armed sites. So this was a library. I'll tell you the library. It was Carmel Ranch Library in San Diego. That is probably the one of the most haunted places I've ever been to. And not many people get to experience a hunting like that because that place is closed at night. However, I was a security guard there at night and it's closed. So they called me. The night kind of started off a little bad already. Okay, because there's two libraries that have a similar name down here in San Diego. One's called Caramel Valley Library, and then another one's called Caramel Ranch Library. The when I they told me to go to Caramel Ranch. However, when I put it in the maps, I don't know how I accidentally put the Valley. So anyway, I went to the wrong one. Then I got to the right one. They gave me the right coordinates. Meet a guard there, and he shows me, what I have to do. Everything's going well. It's going fine. He leaves, so every hour I have to do a little patrol around the exterior and interior. And the moment I got there, I had a bad feeling. I just had a bad vibe. But I'm not the type. I don't get scared ever at these sites. In fact, right now, one of the jobs I work at is it's a hotel that is dead right now. There's nothing in there, and it looks like you're in Silent Hill. So I can handle working at creepy spots. But this is the one site that I've ever worked at that scared me to the point where I called the office and told her, "Hey, I'm outside the site. I ain't going back in there. I'm scared of going in there." That this is the only site, so you know how bad it is. Okay, anyway, it's about 2 hours in uh, the ship, 3 hours, and I'm walking in around the library inside of it, and I'm telling you, I'm hearing pages flap, books opening. I'm hearing footsteps around me. I'm even hearing footsteps on the roof. And I'm the type that I don't really get scared of ghosts and stuff,
Mm.
hauntings and stuff. I actually think that's kind of cool. It interests me. So I ran. What I would do is I'd hear pages flap. So I said, I want to catch this in action. So I ran to the one end of the library and then to the other end. But then I started getting a little creeped out because I'm like, this is not normal. This is like it's like out in the open, like these whatever is in there wanted me to know that it was there.
Yeah.
And I didn't think nothing too much of it because it's little stuff in here. One
That's right.
sec, let me open it. I didn't get a little too, I was like, whatever, I'm gonna do a job. I'm making it here to make some money. But okay, this is the part that I got actually legit creeped out. Okay. Um, so I have to use the restroom. Okay, we have sight phones. It's like this, a sight phone like this. See the
Mm.
glass? It's exactly like this. And I go to the restrooms in the. It's like a back room, not a back room. It's connected to the counter. Uh, it's hard to explain, but the back room is connected to the to the where the workers work that are behind the desk for the public to talk
Mm.
to.
Yep.
But that this is the back room, and they have books stored in there, like the books that they have to like mark and all this stuff, put the stickers on and align them correctly, or the books that are where the public turn them in. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but anyway, there's a restroom there, and there's a countertop on both sides of the restroom. I went in there to use the restroom. I had to use it. I get the sight phone. I place it down on the counter next to the restroom. I go and use the restroom. When I come out, the sight phone is cracked and shattered, and I literally placed it right there, and there was nothing around it when I like there was
So it didn't
literally
drop. It
nothing.
was still it was
Didn't
still on
drop.
the counter, but it
Yep,
was just
yep.
blown apart.
And the freaky thing is okay. Well, I'll tell you the creepiest thing. One of the creepiest things about this same story. But first things first, I said, you know what? Fuck this. I got creeped out. I legit got like thinking about it gets me chills on my spine right now,
Yeah.
and the hair standing up on my neck. You know, I called my because I didn't want to get in trouble for the cracked phone because I'm the one in charge. I take a picture of the phone with my phone. So remember that I
Mm.
took a picture of the phone with my phone. So remember that part. And I sent it to the office and I let them know. And I told them, look, I'm not gonna lie, this is the only place that has ever creeped me out. I am not going in there. Oh, you can't abandon post. I'm like, well, I'm not going in there. So, and they said, okay, well, can you at least uh, patrol the exterior? Which I did. I patrolled the exterior. That's part of my job. I'm not gonna abandon my post. So, but even then, I had to go back in there to. I think. I think there was one. I'm trying to remember. I think I had to turn off something that was related to the alarm system or something like that. It was something like that. So I have to still go back in there after telling him. I said, okay, I'm gonna go do this one last time
Mm.
and I'm not going back. And I was so scared going back in there, man. It was so creepy. Uh, yeah, because why would this right here have a big crater in it?
Mm.
You
And
know that was freaky.
and when you're in there, and it sounds like you said you could hear footsteps. It sounded like it was the floor above you, right, or in the same
Yep,
room? Yeah, floor
it
above
was on
you.
the it was on the roof because
Yeah.
it was okay. If you look it up, if you looked at that library up, it's called Caramel Ranch Library.
Sorry, say
You'll
again.
see the
What's the name of it?
caramel, like you know, like caramel, like
Like the flavor?
caramel, not the flavor, caramel,
Caramel.
C-A-R, yeah, Carmel,
Yep.
ranch, like a farm
Yeah.
ranch library.
Okay.
And if you go online and look up the way it's set on the top,
Mm.
it's just one. It's there's no two stories to it. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
one big tall. It's tall up top though.
So does this sound like someone was walking on the ceiling? But there's
Yeah,
no
and it
second
also
floor. Yeah. Okay.
nope. And then also on the floor around me, and I was hearing books the pages flapping.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was
So
creeped
it's
out.
like fucking the first Ghostbusters movie. So, you
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
it felt like it.
yeah.
Yeah, and okay, the picture. I wanted to show people the picture,
Mm.
and like about 3 months ago, I had the picture still on my phone,
Yeah.
and it's so weird because when I scrolling through all my photos now, that section of my timeline of the photos is
Yeah.
all grayed out. It's all grayed out. There's nothing. You can't see anything. So even if I click on a photo, it won't show anything,
It's
which is
just
weird. It's like
corrupted,
I
or
don't know,
the
or
file's
something,
corrupted on the phone or something.
or or the demons or whatever got a hold of it, and
Yeah.
yeah, wasn't meant to show anyone.
Yeah.
So that's another one. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely would be an intense thing to
I
go
didn't.
through. That's for sure.
Yup, I didn't want
Yeah,
to go back inside.
yeah, for sure, man.
Okay, and then this ain't even. I got so many also.
Yeah.
Okay, in 1990, I think it was 90. We lived here. Think around late 91 or early 92, 1992 to 94, early 94. We lived in this nice Victorian house in Nashville City, California, um, on 8th Street near Highland.
Mm.
And this place was a two-story house. I lived in there. We lived. I was around 6, 7, 8 around that time period in my life.
Mm.
Yeah, and or no, like 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, something like that. I was a kid, and this place. There's so many. I'll, I don't know where to start, but I'll start with the lights would go on and off. There would be footsteps on the because it's two-story. It's a Victorian house. There'd be footsteps walking upstairs. I lived there with my mother, my two brothers, my two sisters. So there was a group of us. It's
So
two-story.
what ages were you living there? Like between what age and
Oh
what
yeah,
age?
so it was in like 90, late 91 to late 90, or late 91 to early 94. So I was because I was born in
So like
86.
5 to 8 years old, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And my brothers, I'm the youngest, so my brothers and sisters are older. My biggest brother, he was already an adult, like maybe in his 20s, and my
Shit.
sisters also in their 20s, uh, early 20s or teens, late teens. My oldest sister, probably my second older sister, lived with us. She was probably like 20, 21, 22.
But a
My
huge age gap between you. So they're almost old enough to be your parents.
no, they're like my brother was born, my oldest brother was born in the 60s, late 60s.
Mm.
No, mid 60s, mid 60s.
So he's older
And I
than
was
my mum,
born, yeah,
and
and
we're
I
the
was born
same
in
age.
the, yep, I know,
Mm.
and I was born in the mid 80s. So my oldest brother, which is the oldest out of everyone, he's like 20 years older than me.
Mm.
Um, and my sisters are like maybe like 2 years younger than him. So it's like that. There's my sisters, and they're all older than me. But anyways, so my brother, my oldest brother, he actually was the one that would sleep alone on the first floor. Like he had the room, all the others, everyone else, they had their rooms on the second floor. No.
Mm.
And my oldest brother, he had it on the first floor. And there was one night when he woke up to, he couldn't breathe, could not breathe. Uh, felt something on his chest. He couldn't see either. But then he opened his eyes and he seen a black figure with furry hands choking him out, and he felt like this thing was on his chest, crushing him too. So that's one thing.
So
And then
that's your
oldest,
atypical like sleep paralysis
yeah,
stories that a lot of people say.
yep.
And with the whole thing with sleep, I'm just gonna go on a slight tangent with that.
Go ahead.
When they, because I know sleep paralysis is a documented disorder, and they try to pass it off as like a medical thing where you're in between asleep and awake. But the only problem I have with that, right, is that how they say it's because you're in between asleep and awake, you're like hallucinating. Well, why does everyone seem to fucking hallucinate the same things? Everyone hallucinates.
Exactly.
Exactly, man. Like that, everyone hallucinates. It's either a shadow men, or you'll get a shadow man with a top hat, or a hag. It's always the same fucking things. So like, if it was just some sort of in between asleep and awake fever dream that you're having, why would everyone have the same experiences? It would be like you would imagine a whole variety of different things that people would experience, which doesn't seem to be the case, which leads me to believe that there's more to it than something you can just mark off in a textbook.
Yeah, it's just skeptics, and those people, you could show them proof,
Yeah.
and they'll still call it like, ah, you're out of your mind.
You can't put
They don't
everything
want
into
to
a
believe it.
box.
And hey, let's be real. I've always had the opinion that a lot of people won't believe the paranormal because not all of them, but there's a lot of people that probably don't want to believe in the paranormal because then they'd have to believe that heaven and hell exist, and then, oh man, I'm a bad person. I'm gonna go to hell if I believe in that stuff. In their head, they already know that if they believe in that, then they're gonna have to go to hell, because that's how I see it. People don't want to believe in the paranormal because they're probably rotten people that might go down there, since
I mean, it could be
you know.
that for some people. I mean, other people, they just try to view themselves as more pragmatic, and, that everything has an explanation that can be based in science, and which I totally understand. And for the most part, most of the time, that'd be correct. But there's a lot of things we don't understand. And, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, so for myself, right, I'm not religious. Like, I obviously believe in things. Like, I believe there's something else going on out there. What it is, I don't know. I think that this is just like a plane for you to grow spiritually. So it's like a self development simulator for your soul. You know what I mean? Like, we just put it like that. And then you take that, like, you grow spiritually. Um, I don't necessarily believe in one particular religion. I think there's some truth in all of them. I think that, so we'll just take the Bible. There's, it's just a lot of things in there that, we'll take, like, the Noah's Ark and the floods and all that. We already know that around 12,000 years ago there was great floods. I think these are stories that are passed down through the generations, and it's just an interpretation, you know, to explain things that we don't quite understand. And this is just my opinion. Like, I wouldn't even go as far as to say a belief, because a belief means it's an absolute, and I don't have a strong enough belief in any of this to have an absolute belief. I just have my ideas on what might be going on. But yeah, I mean, like, just if we'll take Christianity again, like, if Christianity
Oh,
is legit, and that is exactly what's happening, then I'm going to burn in hell for the rest of eternity, because I'm
you
not
don't want
I'm
to do
not
that,
patched in,
man.
bro. I'm not patched in. I'm not a Christian, so that means
Well,
it doesn't matter if I'm a good person or not. And then, like, I've gone through and I've read a lot of the King James version of the Bible, and, like, bruh, like, there is no way anyone could uh, be able to be that virtuous, because it you get judged even on things that cross your mind, and, like, say if you look at a woman and fancy her, like, that's a sin, or you think of things that are a sin, even if you don't act on it, it's still a sin. And, like, you can't control what things that just pop into your mind fleetingly. You should be judged on your
yeah,
actions, but,
I was gonna say, or go ahead, go ahead.
no, no. I was
Well,
just gonna say,
finish. I'll let you.
you should only really be judged on your actions, not things that pop into your mind. Because no one's perfect, and everyone has, I guess you could say, sinful thoughts. But if you don't act on them, you can't be judged for things that just pop through your mind. I mean, like, if you created us in your image, and then you created us flawedly, just to then be able to turn around and then judge us for the flaws that you gave us, it just, I'm like, I see what you're doing there. You make it too hard for people to be able to follow the book by its letter, you know what I mean? And then that way they have to always repent. And I'm like, I see what you're doing there, and I don't personally, for me, I'm not down with that. But that's just, I'm not picking on Christianity, because Christianity is probably the best one out of all of them. Because
Hell
Christianity
yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
they've built through Christianity has built a lot of the Western values that we live with today, and
Oh,
out of all of them, it's probably the best one. But I mean, there's good and bad in all of them. I was just using that as something to get my point across. But yeah, anyway, I've gone on a massive tangent
no, but
halfway
that's
through your
good,
story, brother.
because
But
I actually think that that applies to some of this too, though, because it's like, okay, regardless what you think of religion, you can't deny that there is evil and good right now on planet Earth.
mm,
And let's
one
be
can't
honest,
exist without the other.
yeah, of course. And th- heaven and hell are for two different types of people, and evil people exist. And look, do you think when if there's an afterlife, you really think evil people and good people can coexist in the same place? No. Heaven is no, hell is just the absence of God. So if you're a piece of shit on earth, a bad person, and you don't want to have God in your life, oh, there's a place for you. Don't worry. You're
There's a
gonna go
place.
exactly where you want to go. You
Yeah.
know, people keep, oh, I don't want God in my life. I don't want. Okay, don't worry. When you pass away, you'll have a place where there's absolutely no God. And everything we're doing, like me and you talking on here on this, you might
This
not realize
podcast,
it,
yeah.
but yeah, this is we have it made right now. You know, all this is obviously uh I'm not saying the podcast itself, but me and you conversing, me and you could talk and all this stuff. But when you go down south, you know, if you know hell, there's gonna be nothing like this. Like we won't be able to enjoy our night, you know, talking about stuff like this together. So there's a place anyway. What I think is, I think this is my opinion, and I think my opinion is true. Phil, I think all the other religions are just bullshit. I
Mm.
any you know that's I don't care, and I don't care what anyone thinks. If anyone thinks, oh, you're phobic, or I don't care. Yes, I guess I am. Everyone is phobic. Well, phobic is when you're scared. So I ain't scared of them, so I don't think that applies to me. I just don't like other religions. I only like my religion, and I think all the other
Yeah,
religions are,
well, that's
you know,
fair.
bullshit. You know,
That's fair.
they 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 the same thing too. That all those assholes from the other religions.
Mm.
I know I'm not perfect, but
Mm.
the thing is, though, I don't think you have to be completely perfect to go to heaven. Obviously, no one is.
Yeah.
But if you're a good person, and if you, I know we're getting into religion and stuff, but I'll just say this, and we'll get back on topic. If you're gonna repent and admit God is Jesus, Jesus is God, and that He died for your sins,
Mm.
and if you're not out there murdering people or being a piece of crap,
Mm.
you'll go to heaven or have. Yeah, it sucks though, huh? Because I'm a man, you're a man.
Mm.
We get all these thoughts like, "Oh, look at that girl down there walking down the street."
Mm.
That's I know it sucks. You gotta resist temptation.
Well, it's not
But
even
yeah,
like it. I mean, like the resisting temptation is easy if you know anyone with a fully functional brain that has self control can resist temptation. But
the thoughts is what you're
the
saying.
yeah, like the thoughts, and I just use that as an example. It could be a lots of different things, but having thoughts
Yeah.
pop into your head and being judged for thoughts, because thoughts can pop into your head without even you like necessarily manifesting it. It just pops in, and like you're gonna get judged for that. It's just like, well, you made us uh, not perfect, and then you're gonna judge us for it. So anyway, that I was just going with that, and then
I think he knows us. Or I think it's a lot more complex than that.
yeah.
I think he knows what's in our heart.
But if you,
You
I'm
know.
just going off what's in the Bible, and
Yeah.
the Bible
And
says that that's a sin that you could go to. That's a sin that you will go to hell for. You also,
time to
if you,
repent.
if yeah, well, exactly. So you have to continuously repent, and then also
Hey,
if you're not a Christian, like I know, there's like if you um like have never heard of Christianity, that's okay. But if you've heard of Christianity and you don't become a Christian, you'll go to hell for that.
I just
I
don't
just
want to
feel
go to
that's
hell.
yeah. I
And
don't think we
let's say
are. I think this is
if hell,
like I said, like a ground to grow spiritually. So um, you know, if you fuck up or you don't learn the lessons you're supposed to, you might come back here. You might reincarnate into something with, you know, a lower level of intelligence. Or if you grow quite well, you grow spiritually, you do the things you're supposed to. Maybe you reincarnate with something with more like a more superior intelligence to what we have,
you
or there could be like who knows exactly what's going on. There's something definitely going. There's things going on well beyond our grasp. That's
you
one
know
thing I'm
why
pretty sure on. But that's yeah. Go on.
I was I'll let I was just gonna say, you know why I know all that stuff uh heaven and hell and all that stuff's real is because like the stuff I'm talking about is absolute proof that there are evil uh, spirits and all this stuff.
Mm.
And like you can't have one without the other. You can't have heaven and without hell, or good and evil. So that's why I believe that stuff and other people's testimonies and stuff like that. But yeah, you want to hear the rest of that one
I
that one
definitely.
story about the
I will
house?
just add on one last little
Yeah, go
thing.
ahead.
I definitely think there is demonic entities, um, and I will also add that. I mean, it's pretty well documented that demonic entities, they when they have like faith thrown at them, they do react to it. So I don't whether
Yeah,
that is the religion itself, because it's not just Christianity; it's all the different religions tend to be useful at fighting different entities. But whether that is the religion or whether it's the faith in the religion, I'm not too sure. But we'll
I
jump
don't
into
know if
your.
Buddha's. I don't know if Buddha or those
Well,
what are those the
I mean, I can.
four-armed Indian woman, all that stuff. I don't know if that would protect me. I honestly think a lot of those are evil spirits, false gods. That's
Mm.
what I believe.
But we'll jump back into your
So
story.
that's another idea for another video, man.
Yeah, man.
We could have a long discussion with that too.
Sounds good,
Yeah,
brother.
I'm down. So anyway, yeah. So this one story is that house. The house we were talking about.
Mm. This is the one where
So
you were between the ages of 5 and 8 years old.
yeah, the one with my brother. He was getting choked on the bed with furry hands, furry creature, like a creature's hands. This other one was. It's the same house. My sister. She was not my oldest sister, but I have three sisters. The middle sister. The middle sister and the youngest sister lived there with us. My middle sister had uh, would wake up with claw scratches, like claw marks on her legs, on her thighs, on her back. My mother too, and my sister, you know, my she had a boyfriend or a husband. She had a husband at the time actually, because she married her. He would ask like, "What the hell's going on? Like, why do you have scratches?" He was getting pissed off, thinking it was like another guy doing it, but no, because my brother had to explain to him, like, look, I'm getting choked by this thing, and then our mom was getting, she'd get scratched up too. My mom would sometimes go on the second, because her room was on the second floor. She'd go in the closet, and she'd get on her knees and pray to God all the time, and she'd be hearing growling and scratches on the closet door while she's praying to God. And then one night, also, my mom was laying in the bed, and she was laying like this, back on the back, and her body levitated up off the bed. That,
Mm.
and she opened her eyes and she was looking around like, "Oh, I'm floating," and she fell back down on the bed. And that was a creepy experience she had. And then uh, we'd hear a lot of footsteps all the time. The
Mm.
second story house, there was an attic also. We also had the attic, the window at the top of the attic had a curtain. Sometimes it was closed, sometimes it was open. We'd see it either closed or open. We never seen it what caused it to open or close. But one day, me and my brother, my oldest brother, I was with him. He had like two, three friends with him, and my mother. We were across the street. Uh, they were my brother's friends were leaving. They were leaving, and my brother and mother were talking to him like they walked into the car, and I was with them, and we looked. I think it was also my brother-in-law, which was married to my sister.
Mm.
So it was my brother, my my brother-in-law, and one friend, and my mother and me, and we're just talking. They're talking and I'm watching, and we all see it. The little window on the attic. We got to see what pulled the curtain. I'm telling you, we all seen it. Is a bony looked like a zombie's hand. Pull the curtain quick, like
Mm.
that. Skeleton like, bony, zombified looking hand. Pull the curtain quick. Yeah. So
True.
they went in the attic. Yo, what's
And
up?
you being a little kid, that would have made it hard for you to sleep after that.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff like that too. That I don't know if too. I might have gotten desensitized too,
Mm.
because I'm the type that because my mother she would take me to Bible studies,
Mm.
and they speak in Spanish most of the time. I don't speak Spanish. Yeah, once in a while they speak English. Like a lot of people, they spoke English, but most of the time it was just Spanish.
Mm.
So I'd go with her, and that shit was boring. I didn't understand what they were doing. We'd go to houses with a bunch of church people, and they're having little Bible studies. And I'm talking about this. Sometimes the houses would be packed full of people, and they'd be having an exorcist, and I'd be staring at. I'm a little kid, and I'd be staring at my mom and other people praying over people that have demons in them.
Mm.
And I'm talking about sometimes these people would be twisting contorted, and they had I think they would also say, "Don't look into their eyes, don't look," because they were scary, and I wouldn't look.
Mm.
Once in a while, I would look, and they did look like they were tweaked out, like
Yeah.
cracked out, but uh, you'd hear demonic growls, them sticking their tongue out real long,
So what, like
and
they're doing like an exorcist on these people or something.
yeah, yeah, praying over them. They would be praying over them and stuff, casting
True.
evil spirits out. So I see all that. So I knew demonic entities were real. So I didn't, I wasn't like, yeah, I was scared. It freaked me out. Trust me. At home when I'm alone. So yeah, that attic they showed. Well, all of them went up in the attic. I guess they even brought more.
Mm.
My brother's friends. They looked in the attic. They didn't see nothing. Um, there's another thing too a few more things that happened in the house. My sister. Uh, it was one night. It was a weekend night. She was going to a party and walking down the stairs. No one's home, and she walking down the stairs, and it's dark. And at the bottom of the stairs to the left side of it, there was a transparent old man staring at her,
Mm.
and she got freaked out. So she ran down the stairs and passed through him. She passed through him.
So
The thing was
she saw the
transparent.
transparent man, and
Yeah,
then what? She ran at it
she
to
seen it.
attack him, or like
No, no, she ran through him. She ran through him because
by
she seen
accident?
it was transparent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she knew it was, but she was freaked out. She wanted to get out of the house. She wasn't gonna go run back upstairs. I think he was blocking
The
the
doorway.
staircase.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because she, yeah, I think that was it. I'll have to ask her,
And
but
she's just
yeah,
like,
she
"Fuck
ran
this!
through
I'm
him.
going through him." Yeah.
Yeah, she's a fucking, and she got scared, and yeah, that was creepy. That was another thing. Let me try to remember. There was a lot of things that happened at the house. There is one thing I want to tell you, but
Mm.
the thing that I was going to leave that for the last part
Mm.
that kind of, well, okay, I'll start talking about it if I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
of anything else from that. My mother went to go research that house and she found out she went to the library and she got this history of the city we live in, and it was a big fat reference book at the library that had, it was all old looking from back in the day. That place used to be a morgue where
Mm.
they kept dead bodies. Yeah,
True.
dead bodies, and that kind of explains a lot. And there was one time when my mom was, she got a phone. Back in the day, answering machines. Remember answering machines?
We never.
Telephone
I
line.
know what you mean, but we never had one. Yeah, we're kind of poor, to be honest. Growing up, I mean,
They were not
I,
that
I mean, we're the
expensive. Yeah.
same age, but we had our phone was one of them little ones where you put your finger through,
Yeah.
and then you move it over
Yep.
to the numbers, and like I
I
didn't have computers or anything
we
like that. So I mean, like,
yeah
don't
we
get me
had
wrong, we're in
phones like
I
that.
was in a first world country. Like, I'm not like, but
Yeah.
for an Australian, we're pretty poor. But anyway, go on, yeah.
Yeah. The phone. I
But I
don't
know what you
remember
mean
if
with
it
the
was.
answer. Yeah, I know
I
what you
We've
mean with the
had
answering machine.
phones like the twirly ones. Yeah, we had.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that or one of the button ones, but It was the early '90s, so it was one of those phones. I don't know which exact, but we had a answering machine that was next. It wasn't connected to the phone. It was on the side of the phone.
Yeah.
It, it was kind of weird, and she got a phone call and she didn't answer it, but the answering machine picked it up, and it was some weird dude talking, like very odd,
Mm.
like creepy. Um, I didn't hear it, but my mom heard it, and she explains it to me. She told me it sounded like the wind was like the background. You could hear the wind howling
Mm.
and chains. She could hear chains rattling and demonic growling in the background, and a man speaking over it. I don't know. He sounded like a white dude, and he was talking about hypocrites in this. I know there's a song that had this lyric, something about hypocrites in the stained glass windows, something like that,
Yeah.
which he was referencing a song, but at the same time, it's talking about like people who go to church are hypocrites, and she could hear demonic growling in the background, and
True.
she creeped out. So she saved that message, and she was gonna show more people it.
Mm.
However, the answering machine jumped up off the ground, landed on its side, and broke
True.
on a carpet. Yeah, on a carpet. Hmm. That's odd. And then one time, my mother was having a yard sale in the front,
Mm.
and like a group of hippies. They look like hippies. With one sec.
Yeah. Yeah.
A group of hippies. They were. They walked by and they started talking to my mother, and they said, "Yeah, we used to have satanic rituals here back in the '80s."
Well, that probably
The,
explains a lot.
yeah, that explains a lot right there. So they
Yeah.
probably summoned a few things they shouldn't have there.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Trying to think. That was a lot I told you, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No,
think
I
there
appreciate it,
should
mate.
there should be more. I think there's a few more things I could think of that I had. Just so many. But yeah, what do you think about that house,
Yeah,
man?
man.
A
That sounds
morgue.
definitely a haunted house. You definitely grew up in a haunted house, brother. But yeah,
And
I think this has been a good chat and a good episode, and I really appreciate you giving me your time, George.
shoot, if I think of more, we'll have a set. Well,
We'll do a
there's a
part
lot.
two.
It's
Yeah, man.
just so many that
Yeah, yeah. No, I
I'm
feel
trying
you.
to remember a lot of them. I've had paranormal experiences.
Yeah.
Can I add just one last thing?
Yeah, man.
Um, I remember walking. I was in downtown San Diego, walking by a. I was a kid. I was walking by uh,
Is this
a
a
building.
is this a like day or night, like
It's daytime.
daytime?
Yeah. So and there's a building, a big building. However, it's like abandoned. You got boards. It's boarded up,
Mm.
but you could still look inside. There was window of the front door, and when I passed by it, I seen a shadow, move by real fast.
Mm.
So, and it looked kind of. I got a bad vibe from the dark presence in there, and it freaked me out.
Mm.
That's not a major thing, but thought I'd like to add
You got
that
to
because I
listen to your
remember even
intuition,
though,
man.
yeah, I wouldn't make something. Dang, there's more that I gotta remember that to tell you. It's
Yeah.
just the the I would take away too much time trying to
No, no,
remember.
it's all right. Well, what we'll do is we'll leave it for a part two, and we'll put some stories aside, and we'll add a few other bits and pieces, and we'll do a part two. What do you
Sounds good,
reckon?
man.
All right, George. I really appreciate having you on, brother. All right,
Thank you, man.
thanks, brother.
Okay,
And take care, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you being on for another episode of For the Lads, and we'll see you next time. 1 second, I'll just end the recording.
okay. I'm still here though.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'll wait until